Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of almost all ages, with parental consent, the sick twisted minds at Sacrificial Pawn Productions brings you a new style horror film, like nothing you have seen before. There are no cops, no investigations. There is no backstory, no follow-up of the victims who were brutally tortured and murdered. Our story isn't about them. Normal Terror is about a single dad struggling to make ends meet. His son is his first priority. He goes to work, pays his bills, and is generally a great dad. The twist comes after he puts his son to bed. This is where he releases his stress. Some people do yoga, some hit the gym, some go for runs, some people paint on a canvas. An anonymous source once wrote on an abandoned asylum wall, "I never understood people until I took one apart just to see how it worked." If you are rear-ended in traffic, most people's thought runs to anger and their primal instincts of hurting the other party. Sam Neill does not have the ability to stop that primal instinct. Let us take you into the mind of a killer. Normal Terror is a concept from the mind of Sam Mason, who wrote, directed, produced, and is starring in this new age feature film.
Let's get slicing and dicing with Sir Sturdy horror fans. On this podcast, you will hear me and a guest do some movie reviews, random funny horror chats, and whatever else comes to mind. So tune in, kick back, relax, and always remember, I'll see you in your nightmares.
Well, there's Jason's mask.
What's up, horror fans? Sir Sturdy's back with my brother Bigfoot Rob. What's up, Rob?
What's up?
And today, not only are we going to be discussing the amazing, awesome movie by WOMP STOMP Productions, Never Hike Alone, but we're also going to be drinking a variety of, what is this? Oh, Dos Equis beer. We're starting off with Tecate.
Yeah, I think it's all Mexican beer.
Yep, it is. So, Viva la Mexico. And
Yes.
we're going to enjoy this beer, and you guys are going to enjoy this podcast. If you're listening, and if you're not driving or at work, if you're at home listening or at a friend's house listening, crack open a beer and listen.
Word.
21 and older.
Absolutely. Even if it's that, non-alcoholic shit, because that does have just a point number of alcohol in it, and it is illegal to purchase and consume if you're under 21. But don't tell Grand Union of Rutland, Vermont about, 12 years ago when I purchased a six-pack when I was from one of my friends when I was like 19.
See? He knows. So if you're not old enough to drink a beer, or if you're in a place where you can't drink a beer and you can listen to this podcast, grab some water, stay hydrated, please. Or soda, whatever. No alcohol. We're diving into this. So, Rob.
Yes.
Never Hike Alone.
Oh my gosh.
This movie was really good.
Yeah, it was phenomenal for, ow, dude, I heard that. That
Yes.
was your damn teeth going across that bottle.
That was my tooth hitting the
Ow.
bottle.
Damn. Anyways, no, this is hard to believe it's fan-made film. I mean, you could tell. I mean, like you said, it's from WOMP STOMP.
Mm-hmm.
So it had a production company behind it. I mean, the list of credits had, a ton of, all the stuff you see in, movies, graphic designer, producers, only a few actors, stunt coordinators, all this stuff, that you wouldn't see in you may not see in a ton of fan-made films, at least not up to, this good, quality. I mean, the film work, the camera work was amazing. The stunts were not, real cheesy. They didn't look only swing an object or throw your body so far and then it cuts out and try to do a camera trick that may or may not work and look like somebody goes propelling across the room. I mean, it looked like they're really chucking people, across the room, hitting stuff. Obviously, professionals know what they're doing, so they get right up and walk away from it and say, "Nice job," hit me harder, throw me harder.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, it's just I'm still blown away, that this is like an under an hour film. So I mean, it's super easy to watch. I mean, you don't need much time at all. You need freaking 53 minutes, and that's probably with credits to sit down and watch this film. And it does not disappoint. If you're, if you're a real fan of, the Friday the 13th, movies, the Jason character, horror, and like horror in general. And this is just a movie that, is not going to disappoint. It's going to be a very, very good and enjoyable watch for you.
I'll say this with this movie. First of all, I want to say this, and I'm going to say this again at the end of the podcast. Shout out to anybody and everybody who's doing fan-made horror films. I'm just going to stick to horror films. This is a horror podcast, but shout out to everybody who's making fan-made films in general, but mainly horror films, because I think it's an amazing thing what you guys do. I did do a review on The Guy Inside My Ear, which I wasn't a big fan of, but shout out to you guys. The production for that movie was amazing. There's another one. I believe it's like Brown Film Studios or something. They're doing another Friday. They're doing a Friday the 13th. And excuse me, theirs is called like Mythos or something, which looks interesting. I'm gonna have to check out the trailer. I should have looked at that before we started this. But that's fine. And then there's a Haddonfield movie coming out.
Yep.
By I believe they're connected with WOMP STOMP Films. I'm not 100% sure, but I am gonna be getting them on the podcast. I would love, and again I say this, love, and I'd be honored to have any of you guys on the podcast that are doing these fan-made horror films. I will say this again. I'll probably post it and everything, but. Contact me, horrorwithsir.sturdy @gmail.com, and we can do something.
Yeah, I forget who the company is making it, but I sent you the link probably a month or so ago, but there's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan film getting made.
I
haven't seen many updates, so I hope it's because, they're, in production filming. Yes. And, just a little slow to, update everybody. Mm-hmm. I hope, they didn't run into a bump in the road. Because, that happens way too much, when it comes to professional-made, films from, huge companies everybody knows. Or, somebody out to, make a fan-made film, like the ones we're talking about right now. Because, I don't care what you're trying to do. It's, especially if you want to make it look believable and look, like a real quality movie. It's gonna cost money.
Yes.
Money you may not have. You may have to, go out for support. Ask people to please donate.
Which I'm all for. Like another thing, fan-made films. Hit me up. I'll shout you guys out on the podcast if you guys want to be on or not. We will definitely review your movies, and I'm all for backing fan-made films. If I know about it, if I have the money on me, I will back these films, even if it's only $5, $10, because I want to see these movies come out in production. I backed this one. This was after it was already made, because I didn't know about it at the time.
Right.
But I backed it, paid like $20, $25. I'm getting the Blu-ray in September, which I think it's awesome, because it's something you want to add to your collection. And if I can get the Mythos one, I'm just all for fan-made film horrors. I love seeing them at the cons and all that, which I want to start doing more of these, like grabbing those. I think when we're actually going to be at SCARICON this year in October, and I feel even if we go halves on a movie, we should grab, if there's any fan-made films there at all, we should support them more than what we already do, just because it's like, you're a huge horror fan, I'm a huge horror fan, and it's like, that's their dream to do this. Like me, I love doing this freaking podcast. I'm getting support out the ass now. I'm going to be getting more and more support, so I'm like, share the love. Same thing with other horror podcasts. Shout out to every other horror podcast. I would love to work with anybody who's involved with horror. Anybody at all. Podcast. I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I want to horror is like a big family. And it's finally coming out to the light more and more so, like with the popularity of movies. And I want it to grow. And I feel like we should do the same thing with the horror fan-made films, with the horror podcast, anything horror related. People making figures or whatever. Go out there and support it. You guys, we all sit here and say we want to see more horror this, more horror that, more horror figures, hear more people talk about this stuff, and you got to just support them. And as far as like podcasts go, and I'll jump into this movie after this one. As far as podcasts and stuff like that go, it's as simple as joining somebody's page, liking a page, sharing something, checking out their podcast, liking their podcast, following their podcast, supporting their podcast, downloading the episodes, all that. So big shout out to all you guys. I'll say big shout out to Three Guys At Horror because I listen to you guys a lot. Big shout out to Cinema Attack Podcast and every other horror podcast. I can't think of them all right now. But shout out to all you guys. And into this movie, this was hands down the best fan-made film I've seen. I can't tell you every single fan-made film I've seen, but this is hands down the best one I've ever seen. I'm not going to tell you guys my rating till the end. But me and Rob were just discussing this, like, with the pros and cons, there's so few cons in this movie for me.
Yeah, it's almost not even bringing. I mean, you can bring them up. Well, I'm gonna bring mine up, but it's not like do it in like let's go down the list of because it's like I said, it's so uneven, so many pros and so few cons.
I told you mine, and I'm gonna discuss it with these guys, and I'm gonna ask you yours. Mine was with any slasher film, you want to see a bunch of brutal kills, this, and that, and the third.
Right.
And I was hoping, when I first watched this movie, I'm like, I had low expectations for it. No disrespect to you guys. I'm trying to start doing this more often, actually, but I did it for fan-made films. I try to go in with a low expectation, so it's like I'm not expecting a shit ton of stuff, like a high production movie, and then you're disappointed with it. Like, I'm going in with low expectations. But anyways, I went in there with low expectations, and they exceeded my expectations by fucking far, eons, if that's, I don't even know the damn term. But they exceeded them. But anyway, I was telling Rob, like, I wish there was more kills in this movie, like more brutal kills. And I wish that there was like more people in the movie just to kind of kill off, like those pointless characters, the unimportant characters, right. Pointless characters. But then I came back to him and said, but you know what? This film works so great because the fucking title's Never Hike Alone, which the guy was doing.
Exactly.
So that kind of defeated that. That was honestly, I'm listening to Rob's cons he's about to tell you. That's like the only con I can kind of think of, but maybe I can feed off of some of his. But you want to take it over?
Yeah, I'll take this. The only real cons I had with it was, it was kind of like, all these movies, especially Friday the 13th, I was like dummy, freaking turn around and leave. It's like when he got into the house, he was definitely, or the cabin, he definitely knows some things were wrong, but he's kind of like, because when he's first night we see him camping out in his tent, he hears a pack of coyotes, and then like. Sounded like someone attacked the coyotes, and one of the coyotes did not survive whatever happened, and he just shuts his camera off and says, "Get back to you in the morning." Gets up, starts back out, and then he makes it into the camp, and then I'm not sure what he noticed in I think it was like the chimney, except a bunch of hay, but he picks up a stick that's poking at it, and a headless, and a severed coyote head that looks fresh falls out.
Oh,
shouldn't that be an indicator? It's time to get the hell out of here. You heard that guy, get whacked last night.
All right, well, I got
something
to say about this too. I agree with you on that, and everybody knows I make race jokes on here, but sometimes white people just don't know when to leave.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
You would leave.
I would.
But I don't even see you hiking alone.
First of all, I'm not hiking alone, and second of all, and I think it was right before that scene happened. He tells us, he tells a story that we've all, if you watch the Friday the 13th movies, you've heard 100 times before.
But it was
but it was really good. He tells a story about, Jason drowned in the lake.
And, his mother killed him.
Mom's the cook here. She went batshit crazy one night, killed everybody, and got her head lopped off. And Jason saw it, and he comes back and, terrorizes, the camp for anybody who dares, trespass. Mm-hmm. But he says, but I ain't scared of no ghosts. He thinks it's just, stupid story. Just a myth. His older brother was trying to scare him. But, so tells that story. Then, like I said, you find, dead animal parts. That wasn't, years ago. Mom didn't do that, 30 years ago. That was definitely in the past, past couple hours.
With this too, like I said, how we did the Friday the 13th countdown. I remember we were gonna I don't know if I told you guys or not, but we were gonna talk about this movie, not necessarily with the countdown, but it's like a special feature type of thing. I forgot what I called it exactly. But I think that I'm glad that we didn't do it like that. We gave this its own podcast, its own episode, because
this friggin' movie's worth it.
Definitely deserves it. It's definitely worth it. And if you haven't seen it, and when this video is posted on Friday the 13th, I will have a link for YouTube to go watch this movie.
and do it because there's some, not a ton of spoilers, but there's some.
Oh no, this is a spoiler podcast.
Oh, this is there's not like we're gonna have some real spoilers, but I mean, some things you're gonna expect. But there's like a huge freaking surprise at the end that I don't think anybody sees coming. And like I said, if you listen to this we're totally gonna talk about it. If you listen to this podcast, you're totally gonna hear about it. And if you haven't seen the movie, you're gonna be pissed, that you didn't watch the movie first.
I'll say it. I'm gonna tell you guys this right now. Every episode I do, I know I've said this before, is gonna be spoilers, unless I'm working with the guy inside my ear film. Unless I'm working with someone who sends me something and says, "Hey, discuss the movie, but don't give away too much." That's the only way I won't do it. But this film's out on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna spoil it. And if you do not want this movie to be spoiled any more than what we've already done, press stop, press pause, go watch that movie for 53 minutes, give yourself an hour, go watch that movie, come back and listen to the rest of the podcast. And I'm going to get back into this movie, and I say, like, this is a really, really, really good freaking movie. Like, I put this in there with the Friday. This, to me, now this is just to me. I'll ask you the same question after. I'm putting this right in with the Friday the 13th franchise.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's a different, I mean, I know it's its own standalone movie, but I'm putting it right there, like, it's going right there with my other movies. It's going right with that collection. It deserves that, and I'll say this, again, WOMP STOMP Films, if you guys are listening to this, if there's any way I can get one of those masks, I missed that part of the backer thing, the mask from the movie, let me know. And another thing, you guys make some figures, please, because that Jason looked pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Even with, you can get a brief glimpse of, with I forgot that happening with the mask off.
Oh, that was awesome.
It was, like I said, it was, like, it was only showing, like, about 3/4 of his face, like, the darkness.
Yeah.
From it being at night, hid a little bit of it, but what you could see, it looked good.
And I like that they only showed a little bit of it, because sometimes
it was better than part 6, the quality, like, the look we got him in that. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't, it wasn't like the last 20 minutes of the movie either, especially like in part 7, where the mask comes off and it stays off for the rest of the movie. Mm-hmm. You don't get a real good look,
which I'm good. I'm happy with that. It's like a little teaser look, and honestly, I'll say this too before I let my brother take over again. I would love to see a sequel to this movie.
Oh yeah, I hope they really do, because it's totally doable.
Definitely. The way it ended, like, oh my God, the ambulance scene was so awesome when he was freaking out, thinking he was seeing Jason.
Right.
And, like, you seen the red and all that stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then he was picturing himself seeing Jason. The guy was laying down on a stretcher, and yes, for those who listen to this podcast, we always jump all around. That's just how we do it. It just comes up, boom.
Right.
Anyway, it was an awesome scene, because it was like, he's seeing Jason, he's like, hey, he's right there. The nurse, or the EMT,
paramedic, EMT, whichever,
looks back, and she's like, there's nobody here, and they buckle him down, the guy and the girl. Actually, the girl's like, hey, can you come over here and help me, because the other paramedic is over there looking at a Playboy.
Right.
Which, funny fucking thing I want to say about this, he looked at the Playboy, he's like, oh wow, look at that vagina mustache. Yes. And you know what, vagina mustache is going to be the title of this episode right here.
That'll get people curious, to see what this is about.
Yep. And we didn't even talk about vagina mustaches a lot, which was popular back in the day, man. Like back in the day.
Oh yeah, I mean you flip through an old school magazine. It's like
a bush.
Yeah. If anybody like I can't think of the guy's name, but there are some huge fans of Elvira, Mistress of Darkness. Is that right?
I believe.
I know it's Elvira, but holy shit, look at some of her adult rated old films. It's like you'd have to take a weed whacker to that thing.
I got one.
That was back in the day style.
It's just crazy. Can you? All right, we are gonna get off our little tangent right here, because I just thought of something. But can you imagine? Remember the pop-up books?
Oh my God. It's like scary. It's like the scary movie,
Can you imagine just flicking through it, and all of a sudden, you get a big bush in your face? Like, oh shit!
Yeah, it's like the spoof movie, scary movie, where he pulls the girl's panties back. First the bats fly out, and then he pulls them off. Then it's like freaking 6 foot high bush balls up. He has to put on a pair of glasses and some weed clippers.
Oh man!
I guess
that was a funny part of the movie. But this movie, like, all around, like, you had the scene, like I said, he thought he seen Jason, and then what was cool was, like, he thought he seen Jason in the ambulance, then he was, like, outside on a stretcher, and Jason was coming over to him to stab him in his stomach, and as that happened, he gets the, whatever they put in his IV, the medication in his IV to kind of calm him down. I'm not going to act like I know, because I have no idea.
Like, if my freaking father was here doing this podcast with us, he would tell us everything, because he is, a freaking EMD.
Nice.
So, but that's one thing, before we go any further, is one thing that made you, because right before that, this part scared the shit out of me, and I forgot all about it too. Like I didn't jump like through the scene, but whoa,
he cried.
Is when he made when he made his escape a second time. And he's, finds a body of water and kind of splashes his face trying to clean up a little bit. And then Jason pops out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
That freaked me out. Like, I was not expecting that. And then, crushes his head.
That was fucking awesome.
And then he wakes up and he's in, I said, he's with the EMTs in the stretcher. Then he sees Jason. So you're starting to wonder. And like I said, it's fan-made film. It's their own original idea. Was this just a big dream sequence? And that's one thing, that I don't know. I mean, I didn't personally, but I'm not going to take away from anybody else who watches this film for the first time, whether they have yet or not. And if they take this idea, no, it's a fan-made film. It's not like a spin-out, not supposed to be like a continuation or a prequel to any of the others. But is that what all this is? Is that another reason why this is, just a movie about one single guy, is because it's a dream sequence. I mean, obviously anybody who's seen the movie in full knows it's not. He's just freaking out as, people survive, as people from, mainly survivors of the past films sometimes do, have like, dream sequences after, they've endured, complete hell, battling, the night with Jason. That's one thing, that you might be thinking, is that what this movie's going to turn out to be? I mean, that would have been a very, great idea, but like I said, the way it turned out in the end, it totally wasn't necessary. But I think the way they did both, it's really happened. He's just going through multiple, sequences of being so freaked out and, probably exhausted, dehydrated, starving, and, and fighting for his life all night. He's going to start, seeing things. I mean, start hallucinating. Because, I mean, you're doing battle with, a freaking unstoppable, killer. You're gonna have, some pretty, whacked out, visions.
Back to this scene you were talking about, though, with this whole dream thing. I like I said, I seen this movie. This is my second time seeing it. I actually watched it today. And I completely forgot about that scene. Like, when I seen it, I was like, holy shit, this is the only guy in the movie right now. What's going to happen? Then he woke up, I mean, he was in the ambulance shit, but he woke up and it ended up being a dream. I was like, wow, that was fucking awesome. Like, that could have went either way, too. Like, say, I'll just throw this out here real quick. Like, say he really did kill him right there. Right. And then maybe, I don't know, a day or two, because it wasn't called Friday the 13th. No. So maybe say like a day or two later, his friends are coming to look for him. They know he's up there. They go past. Remember how he parked his Jeep in front of them? They see his Jeep there, so then they go kind of exploring and finding him. Maybe they find his body, and they're just like, what the fuck? Or maybe they don't find his body. I don't know. But, Jason picks them off. That would have been cool, too. But I feel like...
kind of in the same state,
the way they did it was awesome. The way they did it was
he's like,
great.
he's laying there lifeless, Yeah. Oh, my God, is he dead? Check, he's still breathing, but he's, we got to get him out of here. And surprise, Jason shows up. Mm-hmm. And does he regain consciousness, make, one last daring escape, even though his friends don't make it? Or what?
One big thing I liked about this movie, too? Jason threw him.
Yeah.
When he threw him out the cabin or whatever the hell it was from the upstairs part?
Yeah, well, he kind of jumped out because I was wondering when's Jason going to, appear. I forgot when he appears, because this is my second time watching it, too. I watched it last night. And it's like, I remember you first see him in the beginning where he comes to the no trespassing sign and, keeps showing up. And then he turns around, he's gone. And then you keep, the camera, shows the guy hiking from a distance like he's being watched, obviously by Jason. And then I said, the more stuff he finds in the house, it's like, okay, any moment, he's totally gonna totally freak him out. He's gonna lose his shit, and he's gonna, try to escape, and then boom, there is no escape. But, but then, you see like behind like a blanket hanging, like a sheet hanging up, you see Jason's feet. It's like, okay, they're gonna meet, they're gonna meet any moment now. And then he, notice a bad smell coming from like a bed, and he pulls it back, and there's, a dead, rotting body. Then, Jason grabs him from behind, in the sheet, and he tries, trying to fight to get away from him. So I don't know, it was probably like a half throw, half, half escape, goes out the window. But then when he comes back, I think it's when he comes back, because, he gets away, but he left all his supplies, and he's got he tripped over over the wire that was holding the no trespassing sign and gashed his leg. So, it's gonna get infected, and he, and his leg definitely won't make it. He might not even make it, if he doesn't get, treat it now and then get proper medical attention, when he can, get back to civilization. So he actually goes back, finds his stuff, stitches himself back up, and, puts some disinfectant on it. And I think and then when Jason finds him, I think that's when they do battle, and like he picks him up and chucks him,
that was awesome.
Slams him, like that's one thing. I don't know if we talked about it since we started recording, or if that was just a brief conversation we had before, but that's just one thing about this film, hence the term fan-made film. Like I said, you had stunt coordinators in this. You didn't have, it wasn't like, somebody who, failed as, being a professional, stunt guy and kind of knows what they're doing and might just be there to kind of like, okay, be careful. Okay, when you do that, you probably want to do that. It'll look more realistic if you do it like this. No, it looked like, like real professional people who've done this, were getting picked up and punched and, beat up and thrown around. Like I said, it was what made this movie so different than the others, is that, it wasn't, like a lot of the Friday the 13th films, it's like there's a couple people, picked off here and there throughout the film, but then it's usually like a big showdown at the end. This wasn't that, it was a big cat and mouse game. This was like the last survivor of the film, the daring escape, finding ways to, manipulate him and escape and, trick him into, going here when you're really over there. Kind of like, part 3 and part 2 and part 4 especially. That was the big, the big thing about this film. And I like that too. I mean, I know, like I said, when we watch slasher films, more, the more gore, the better. I mean, it's more realistic as to what you're watching. But like I said, the fact this was a fan-made film, I didn't know what to expect. I'd heard that it was good, so but I've heard a lot of movies are good and they turn out to be total shit. So I wasn't going in based off other people's opinions like this movie's going to be phenomenal. I went in, hoping it was going to be great, but expecting that it might not be that good. But but it totally, it totally met expectations of being good. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what this movie was going to be. I just wanted to enjoy it, and I certainly did. I really enjoyed this movie. I love everything about how they did it. Like I said, it was, obviously, a lot of the production, went into, like the music. The music in the beginning was great.
The music, see, that's one thing I was gonna say.
Obviously,
when I was watching the movie,
being a Friday the 13th inspired film, it's got the classic, noises you hear from all the other ones in it. But when Jason isn't present, it's got, the opening music was pretty freaky. I liked it a lot. I liked how they did that.
I was gonna say that the score for this movie, if that's what you want to call it, the score, music, whatever, for the whole movie, like, that's another thing, WOMP STOMP Films. If you guys have any more soundtracks, so I want a soundtrack, I want a mask. If you guys haven't listened to it, I am gonna message you guys too. But anyway, the soundtrack was really, really good for this movie, and like, especially for a fan-made film. And I say that because I don't know how, I don't know how much what's the word I'm looking for? Experience these guys have with movies and all that, right?
Right.
So it's like the music was always placed like in a perfect. It wasn't too loud either. That's one thing. Sometimes you're watching a movie, especially with horror, where, and I can't think of a movie off the top of my head, but the music can be a little bit too loud to where it's just like overpowering the scene. But the music was just like perfect, so it didn't overpower the scene, and it didn't play it too long either.
No. It was
great.
It was like the perfect amount, perfect
It was
style, perfect, the perfect, timing.
Yes.
Everything about it was,
And you know what another thing I liked about the movie is how the guy's going on the hike and all that, and it was realistic about it and cool about it. It's because like when I go out, like say if I go to the track or whatever, do certain things, I have a camera with me, and he's like recording, talking to the audience. I loved that. He had his little GoPro camera.
Right, and it wasn't, and just not to interrupt quick, and I'll be quick, and I'll let you get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I liked about that is, like, that's not how, it wasn't like Blair Witch Project, Paranormal Activity, where that's how the whole movie was filmed. It wasn't filmed completely through, like, the little camera.
No, it was
it was back and forth.
It was back and forth, and it was like, there was even points where he was like talking to the camera, to the little camera in his hand, but you've seen it from the other camera,
right?
Him talking to which I just really enjoyed that, because it's like, you're seeing, first of all, when he's recording it, you're seeing it like as you're watching it like you're watching it on YouTube or whatever, watching it as him recording, talking to you, and then you see it from him watching it like you're just watching a movie, which was it was cool how they made that work.
Nobody's
really
trying to make you
cool.
believe that this was like, like a found footage film.
And I liked how the camera died.
Yeah.
The part where he's sitting up against a tree, I believe. He's like, look, if I don't make it, my name, tells him his name, and he's like, I forgot what he says exactly, but he pretty much says, the myth is true. Jason's real.
Yep.
Which I just loved it. It was awesome. And like the camera was really like, if you pay attention, if you watch this movie, if you haven't seen the movie, or if you have seen the movie, and if you didn't catch this little part in the movie, I like how it always shows that when the little camera's on, it shows it's record, and it shows the battery. It shows other stuff too, but record and the battery power, and it shows little by little the battery dies until it's dead. And it's not recording. I mean, it's not dead, but it's, how when a battery's low, it records shitty.
Yeah.
And then it dies.
Yeah, that's not that, because because when he, so like we discussed, was it a fall or was it a push or a jump?
Out of the thing?
When he came came out of the door, from the top part of the cabin, he found his camera. His camera took a hit, and it was dirty, and
yes.
it was beat up, and like as you could tell that thing was damaged.
And that right there means a lot to me as a movie fan. I'll say horror, whatever. But because that's like a small detail, but at the same time it's huge, because it's like sometimes you'll watch a movie and you'll see somebody drop a camera and let's say it should have broke or should have chipped or got dirty, and then you see that same camera 10 minutes later and it's perfectly fine, like perfectly brand new. I'm like, you don't really pay attention to it too much, maybe because it's perfectly fine. But with this movie, how they made it all kind of fucked up or whatever, it's like, that really stands out. That really means, you know what I mean? Like, that's awesome.
Right.
And this, oh my gosh, it was just cool. Like, I like how the guy, like I said, I like how the guy was recording throughout the whole movie, kind of doing a vlog, a video vlog, so to speak, and just the whole thing. And it everything for me for this movie for some reason it just worked. Like, I feel this is one of those things where they did enough. And I mean that in a good way. Like, I'll say it like this. They didn't try to do too much to make you like this movie. Like, they didn't try to put... Jason wasn't in this movie a shit ton. He was in it a decent amount, but he wasn't in it...
Yeah, I think it was like halfway point, because I remember, I have a smart TV, not trying to brag, but, when you have a smart TV and you have, a smartphone, if you have the YouTube app, you can play a video or this movie, on YouTube, and then there's a little icon there you can hit, and it'll transfer it to the nearest smart device that can play videos, and that's what I do. As I transfer it onto my TV, so I can control, so I can pause it, rewind, fast forward, hit play right from my phone. So, like I said, that scene we were talking about, a few minutes ago, like when he first made his appearance, like when he's upstairs looking around, and I said, and you see Jason's feet, like on the other side of the sheet hanging up. I'm like, okay, any second now, they're gonna, this guy's gonna know he's here and he exists. So right then I hit pause on my phone, and then checked the time, and it was like 27 minutes and some odd seconds in there. So 27. Double that's 54 minutes.
Yep, about half the movie.
So it's about half the movie. I mean, like I said, you see him briefly in the beginning, like when he starts hiking, he goes to comes the no trespassing sign. So, I say you see you see him there. The camera doesn't got like a great view on him. But then after that, then you really get a good look at him. And then, like I said, then throughout, then there's just a couple, scenes like, getting away or running away, that, Jason's kind of not there. But for the most part, he's present for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. But they, like I was saying, though, like, they don't have him in there, which, I mean, I'm a Jason fan, so if they had Jason in there for the whole fucking movie, I wouldn't have been mad at that. But I feel like for this, the way this movie was, it was done damn near perfect, in my opinion.
Right,
like,
because that's another great thing about this movie. It wasn't like, some of the others where it's like people are purposely going to this camp because they don't believe, the stories are true, or they just want to see for themselves.
Or they believe in the story, they just want to see, still want to go check it out.
Right. This guy was just some nature freak, who's, experienced, hiker, and this is just like a nature trail he was on. And he just ran into this totally by accident and strongly debate, he ran into the no trespassing sign, strongly debated on turning around, even though he says, it's going to take me way too damn long, I have to turn back around, reroute, So, says screw it, goes through, and that's when you see Jason, he's present and watching him, and going to start to follow him.
Yep.
And then comes across does he come across the cabin first, or is he just kind of walk around and he trips over something, and then he starts uncovering, what looks like the back of a sign, and then he flips it over, and it reads Camp Crystal Lake. And then he discovers, the cabins.
Yep.
And then it's like, then he he didn't go there on purpose. That wasn't the point of him doing this.
Nope,
he ran in here totally by accident and decided, I'm here. I've heard stories. Why don't I just check it out?
You know what I liked about this? First of all, it was just one cabin, right? Like one cabin they showed, or did they show more in the background?
I thought for sure there was just going to be one, but I can't remember if there was another one we saw. I
want to say there was just one big one.
It's just one that we really focused on. There may have been
because he went inside and. Back to when Rob mentioned earlier when he was talking about how his older brother told him a story about Jason, how it used to scare the shit out of him. You know what was awesome? Fucking awesome. And I love this fucking part was the Camp Crystal Lake sign. It was yellow.
Yep.
That was hanging up over the fireplace. That right there, it's a Camp Crystal. And I have a sign just like that.
Oh,
a key holder. But it's not even up here. I'll show you. Anyway, I was just like, that right there was just awesome, and I liked how he was. I liked how he was telling the story. Like that's one story I can never fucking get tired of. As many times I've seen Friday the 13th, and I've mentioned this before. Like that's one of this franchise, and I'm including this movie in this franchise. If I were to start, let's say next weekend because it's Friday the 13th, if I were to watch from the very first one all the way through to, the remake, and this is now a part of that. Watch, like I'd start from the original ones obviously first, and then this would end it, and I'm cool with that. And it's just like, I don't know, man, this movie was just so fucking good. Like I have nothing really negative to say about it. Like I said, like the only thing but was what I said earlier, but more people getting killed and shit, but at the same time it's Never Hike Alone. So if it's called Never Hike Alone and he goes hiking with a group of friends, it's really kind of misleading.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, if it was, regardless of, who showed up at the end, like I said, we could have been the possibility of, some friends who haven't heard of, who he's supposed to check in on, come out, find his Jeep, go looking for him. Like I said, find him lifeless, laying there, whether he's still alive or not. And then they get butchered. I'd say, or in the case of what really happened, like I said, he wakes up and the EMTs have found him.
You know what would have been a cool, just because it just hit me? Instead of, I'm not going to mention who yet until we get to that. Instead of who that came back in the movie, what if it was Reckless Reggie still running?
Oh my gosh. That would have.
You know how funny that would have been?
Yeah, so I wonder if they would have, if they debate on the idea, but, or did they want to be like, okay, let's keep it serious. I mean, that would have put a humorous spin. I mean, I know,
there's a little humor in it, but yeah.
Like at the end, especially, with the freaking, with the EMT,
Maggot head,
flipping through the Playboy, and
okay, I got a new title: Mustache, Vagina, Maggot head.
Word.
That's it right there.
That's perfect. That puts all the key,
The funny parts in the movie.
the key moments in this movie.
Okay, Rob, I got a question for you for
All right.
this, and I'm gonna tell you right. I'm gonna answer it before I even ask it. I fucking loved it, and I already know your answer, but it's more for the listeners. Again, okay, I'm just gonna say it now. Tommy Jarvis in this movie,
Right.
from part 6.
Because there's 3 Tommy Jarvises. So people who are like Henry and hate,
Corey
Corey Feldman,
which I don't like.
Not him.
And I don't like him either, Henry. I don't have a. Put it this way: if you and Corey Feldman got into a fight, we have your back, definitely.
Oh, word.
I don't like him. I don't hate him, but I don't like him. And my reason for not liking him is because he killed Jason in part 4. So I was like, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck everything about you.
Even though we got another 6, 7 sequels after that.
But yeah. But what I was getting at with the whole Tommy Jarvis thing was Tom Matthews is his name, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That was so freaking cool how they did that. Like how they brought him back. And the Maggot head reference is because he was the driver of the ambulance.
Right.
And Jason's in the back. He's looking through the back doors are open. The ambulance has a little gap thingy or whatever. He's looking through that and he sees Jason. He's like, what the hell did he say? He said something, Maggot head.
He says, hey, Maggot head.
Oh, hey, Maggot head.
Remember me, asshole?
Yes. Hey, Maggot head. Remember me, asshole. Vagina mustache. Oh, man. Anyway, I really enjoyed that part. And what was cool about it was because Jason never killed Tommy, and he still didn't get him in this one.
No.
Which, there's a part where, Tommy's in the van, he's calling dispatch, telling him what's going on or whatever, and then you see him say, I think he says, like, what the fuck, and he gets, like, grabbed out of the van. But somehow he gets away from Jason. Then when he gets back in the van, you see his face is bleeding a little bit.
Yeah, because he gets out because
which I enjoyed.
Well, he's on with this, he's on the CB radio, and then and he says there might be somebody else out here, and then the camera shoots up very close to him, like somebody's about to attack. And then you hear him, in a scuffle, and then everything goes quiet, which gets the attention of the other EMTs. Well, of the female EMT, and then what she tells the guy, flipping through Playboy, to go take a look, and then he gets into a scuffle, and then he doesn't comes back. I think he falls on the kind of half alive, falls back onto the open door. You can see he's bleeding and not in good shape, then falls, and then Jason comes in and grabs the girl and pulls her out, and then he comes back to get the guy who we've been following the whole time. I forget his name already. Kyle. Yeah, get him, and then that's when Tommy reappears, survived the attack again, and throws out his classic line, and then takes off, and then you see a distant shot of Jason staying there with the 2 dead EMTs, and starts, as the ambulance, floors it and drives off, and he starts walking. Starts walking in that general direction, which, like I said, leaves the movie wide open.
Yes, it does.
Good ending, not like a what the hell just happened ending. It's a good, solid ending, but it leaves it open for, it leaves for future films, if they can be made.
It leaves it open. I'll say this: leaves it open for a future film. Or it also leaves it open just to kind of end it there. Like, it's one of those where it just kind of works either way.
Right. I mean, like I said, we all, people who just love, horror movies and love these movies want to see another one. I mean, as bad as, I thought, the Friday the 13th remake was, still, I'm getting pissed every time I, go online and read.
That's heartbreaking.
Read that, more problems with, getting production to move on for another Friday the 13th movie film continue.
Yes.
But at the same time, that just goes back to show you how special this movie is. How they, like I said, multi-billion-dollar, production companies can't get another movie that has made millions upon millions of dollars, a franchise that has made millions upon millions of dollars, has countless fans,
and they can't get it done.
Can't get it done.
But right now it's because of a legal thing, unfortunately.
Right.
But, I don't know the guy's last name. His first name is Victor something, and I'm not gonna even say fuck you, Victor, or bash him because I don't know the whole story.
Right.
So, and it's like if you did have a big hand in creating something that's so fucking amazing, you do deserve your money.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm gonna say fuck you to all you guys and get this shit together because there's a lot of fans that would love to see some more Friday the 13th, a remake. And I say this because you got Halloween coming out this year. You had It coming out you had It last year.
And coming next year.
And then coming next year. And did you see it?
The It movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think of it? I mean, you don't have to did you like it?
I don't know. I mean, it's just not my style of movie.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm not gonna say it sucked. I just didn't particularly enjoy it because I just don't think that's the kind of movie I'm into. If you're in that kind of movie, I think it was good, you know, if that's the kind of movie you dig. But me,
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Didn't, you know, that just really would have swallowed my cup of tea. So that's all I'm going to say about it.
What I'm getting at with this is, and then you have Halloween coming out, and we don't know how good that's going to be or not. I mean, you've seen the trailer.
I mean, it looks pretty disappointing to me, but that's just me.
I enjoyed the trailer, but what I'm getting at is, say Halloween does really good, right?
Right.
Say it does great in the box office.
It's probably going to be great in the box office, whether it's a good movie or not, whether people like it or not.
Overall, let's say it does great. You
don't get your money back if you come back saying this was dog shit. Give me a refund.
But I mean, like, say it was great. Say, like with It last year, it was
the highest grossing horror movie ever.
Yeah, and that wasn't because it was a bad movie. Like,
I mean,
you gotta look at it like this.
You had the big opening weekend, and then left room for people to say. Enough people say, okay, this was total trash. The other friends don't go see it, and they don't go see it. But then it made a decent haul, but it does nothing afterwards.
Yes,
but enough people came out and said, it's good, go see it, and then more people started to go.
And not only that, but then there's people who go to see it again. Like, this movie's so good, I want to see it again and again and again.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this happens with Halloween. I'm hoping this happens with every horror movie that comes out. I know it's not going to be like that with every horror movie, but I'm hoping it happens like that, especially with Halloween because it's a slasher. And maybe they can get something together to do another Friday the 13th. We're like, okay, listen, here's this money right here. Now let's just do this movie.
Right.
Because because I look at, like, with a movie like that, it's a classic movie, it's a slasher or whatever. It's a classic movie. And it's like, okay, we can get more of these. I'm not saying they should always do remakes. I personally love remakes, reboots, whatever you want to call them, if they're done right.
Right, which doesn't happen as often as they should. And
it's just fun for me, and it's more horror. But what I'm getting at is, like, with Friday the 13th, just get it together, guys. Just get it together.
I mean, what really pisses you off is probably... it's probably a big money, issue.
Yep.
And the people that are whining and bitching and complaining are they either A, want their money, or B, don't want to give any out, are people who have more money than they'll ever know what to do with, have more than enough to give to the right people, but just refuse, or people, who can never spend all the money they've already made and want a ton more. It's like watching a freaking sports star negotiate a new contract. It's like, you've made $400 million. You couldn't even come close to spending that even if you tried.
And at the end
of $200 more.
Yep. At the end of the day, though, it sucks because it's like the fans really, really want this to come out. Like, just horror in general, but I'm going to stick with the Friday the 13th. Like, we really want to see another movie. I'll put it to you like this. You guys that follow this podcast, thank you. If you heard the Friday the 13th countdown, you've heard what we said about these movies, which I'm going to say to you right now, Rob. I eventually want to do Friday the 13th movie, like the rest of the franchise, but as, like, their own episodes. Tomorrow I'm actually doing part 8 with somebody.
Oh, nice.
But, and that's going to also drop on Friday. But I want to do them, not all the time. I want to do them, like, around a Friday the 13th, like where we're doing this. And yes, you guys can hear this, and then always...
Yeah, next week, next Friday?
Yep. And then always drop it on always drop it on a Friday the 13th, just because it'll be fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, so fix that shit, Victor, and whoever else is involved in that, please fix that shit and let us get another amazing Friday the 13th huge production film.
Take this time to, really sit down and think long and hard and put together a really good movie. Don't, just sit on your hands.
I'll even say, check out these fan-made films and maybe call these guys up and let them sit in on it. Let some fans who are gifted, in
writing and putting ideas. Don't just do it yourself. Because
it would be cool to have, like, with this WOMP STOMP Films and with the Mythos thing. I seen the trailer, which look good. Stuff like let these fans that are into this, that have their own little production companies, they're doing the fan made films. Get your money together, get that whatever you got to do, take care of that shit, and then get these fans together that are doing these fan made films for, I'll say, Friday the 13th, and either let them be in the movie, let them be a part of the movie, get some of their ideas, and fucking pay them because they would deserve it. I say that because you can have a fresh idea of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, Friday, I fucking love Friday the 13th. I'll tell you right now, if they made fucking 10 more movies and they all went to theaters, I bet you I would fucking go see everyone, and I'm sure Rob would too.
Oh, yeah.
As bad and as sad as that sounds, and as bad as those movies might be, because it would be watered down after a while, I would be that jackass in line like, yo, Rob, fucking Friday the 13th, 67 is coming out. Let's go.
I'd still be there. Like, I went and saw the first two sequels to the Purge movies, and this fourth one just came out, and I don't even give a shit. I will pay $1 whatever when it comes on Redbox. Mm-hmm. But I just got so sick of these movies, the way they look so hyped up and good in previews, and then go and watch it. I'm like, the hell was this?
Yes,
but this is a whole new animal. We've been watching these. Obviously we weren't alive when they first started coming out, but once we got a hold of them, you
didn't stop watching.
You went through every single one, and then when you were, old enough to watch these movies, when new ones would start coming out,
mm-hmm.
we're first. We're like first to go see it.
Exactly, and like, funny story about this. I'll say this real quick before we dive back into Never Hike Alone, which is an excellent movie. Friday the 13th, that came out in 2009.
Yeah.
It was me, because I forgot what happened that Friday, why I didn't go see it, but I went to go see it that Saturday, which it came out in February, which was Valentine's Day.
That's right.
This is what makes the story funny. It was me, my older brother Zach, my cousin Jared, and Henry. I believe, we all rolled together and went to go see it. So you know how, like, you go up, my cousin Jared and my brother Zach, they went up and grabbed their tickets at the same time. Me and Henry went to separate windows because it was Valentine's Day. And then when we got in the theater, we left a seat in between each other. We didn't sit, but just because it was Valentine's Day.
Oh my gosh.
Another thing, which I really did, I know you weren't big on it, I really did enjoy this movie, the Friday the 13th, the remake. Go back to the podcast to hear what I said about it. I know it was low on my list for certain reasons, and that's a motorcycle in the background outside. I can't help that.
Yep.
But like, overall, I really enjoyed the movie. Probably, it's Friday the 13th film. I went and seen it twice, and black people, we don't go see movies more than once in the theaters. It's not cheap. White people probably don't even do that shit too much anymore.
Even back then, it was way too expensive to do that shit. Even if it was a really good movie. Back when Titanic came out, my mother brought me like probably 4 or 5 times to see that.
I've only seen.
It was cheaper.
I've seen. Okay, let me tell you real quick, and then we'll get back into this. 3 movies, 2 times in the theaters. Friday the 13th, Batman: The Dark Knight, and the Turtles movie, the first one that came out.
Yep.
A few years ago. Those 3 movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But back to this Never Hike Alone, man. Like, as far as, we could just jump right into slicing and dicing on Search 30, give our ratings, and just discuss the movie more, kind of say what we would change about it, if anything, and all that, and some ideas. I'll say my rating for this movie, and this is the first time that I've done this on this podcast. Rob did it for Jaws. I'm giving this movie 10 machetes out of 10 machetes. And I'm going to tell you why. I felt like this movie was done damn near perfect. It's a fan-made film, which bumps it up. It showed titties. It was in a magazine, but it showed titties. That helps.
Yeah, that's like one thing, you go into it thinking, okay, that's not going to happen. It's a cliche. With the exception of part 6, amazingly, especially after part 5, holy hell.
Mm-hmm.
Part 6 had some sexual innuendo, some implications. Like when he he takes a machete to the power line of the RV, because it's like rocking back and forth in court, and his girlfriend are doing the do. But when you can hear them, like, what the hell happened? Where did the lights go? It's not like two buck naked people, full view, walk out. They're both fully clothed. And like I said, never showed anything. It wasn't even that much, sexual talking. Maybe because Friday the 13th Part 5 was so, so graphic in what it showed, and a lot more graphic in what they cut out, that they're like, okay, we have to take this back a step. But so that's one thing, it's a cliche in, the Friday the 13th films, but it's like, okay, it's not going to happen. But they save face, They found, a guy finds a magazine, he's flipping through, and like when he picks it up, it's open, and then you see a photo in there before he closes it. But you hear a lot more about about what's in there than what you actually see, especially at the end, with the mustache vagina.
Mustache vagina.
It's like you don't see it. It's a spoiler. Spoiler alert.
I wish we did.
You don't see it. I mean, I wouldn't doubt if it's
only because I'll say I felt like it might. I mean, it was funny either way, but it would have made that scene a little bit funnier to me if you see him looking at it and it just shows.
Right, it's kind of like in Rob Zombie's Halloween remake. When the guy where he gets his suit, which I hate about. One thing I absolutely hate about that movie. The guy's flipping through a Hustler. It don't fail to show you exactly what he's looking at. Mm-hmm. And plus, for us guys, if you're sitting on the toilet, the last thing you want is a freaking hard-on.
Yeah.
So why in God's name are you thumbing through a freaking Hustler?
It's not comfortable.
No, it isn't. It's especially when you gotta pee. Oh. Try to control. I mean, it's hard enough standing up, taking a piss with one, let alone sitting down, thumping against the hard steel or the hard porcelain of the damn, toilet. Anything goes on these podcasts. Yes. Nothing is out of line.
And now that's making me want to change the title to "Thumping Against the Porcelain." I think that's the new title now.
That's what happens, when you couple beers in,
Yeah.
Conversation gets good. You never know what's gonna happen next.
Oh, by the way, we're on our second ones, and
the amber.
More. This is the Dos Equis Amber edition. It's very delicious, and the next one is going to be. Are you gonna have another one?
I'm depending on how long we go on this podcast. I might, because I'm the one who's got to drive. I might take it to go, but we'll see how. I'm still working on this one.
Well, this one's Carta Blanca. That's the next one. Anyway, I have to say this title real quick before I ask Rob's rating. I don't know. I got to figure out how to combine maggot head, vagina mustache, and thumping against the toilet. You maggot head, vagina mustache, thumping against the toilet.
That'll
Maybe.
Work. That's whether you have to touch that up a bit. That's definitely a very good start. Maybe even a good final.
Funny. Yes,
that could work as a final.
You maggot head, vagina mustache, thumping against the toilet. That was just fucking funny. And now, again, like I said, people, I gave this 10 machetes out of 10 because I thought this movie was done excellent. Shout out to WOMP STOMP Films and everybody who had anything to do with it. I think you guys did an excellent job. No, this podcast isn't over. I know it sounds like it is, but it's not. We're not just getting started, but we're still talking. So, Rob, excuse me. Sorry, I burped in you guys' ears, but
it's all good. I did it.
It happens. Drinking beer. What do you rate this movie, and why?
Okay, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna do a half because what you said. White people sometimes just don't freaking learn.
Hang on, before you do that, I was gonna give it a 9.5 because there was no black people in it, but I'm gonna still stick with my 10 because we didn't get killed in it either.
That's true. I mean, you gotta look at the glass. You gotta look at the glass half full, not half empty.
The glass bottle.
So I'm gonna cut it in half because I would have done a full number, but the fact you pointed out, does white people never freaking learn? Is why the guy isn't,
And Rob is sick of it.
Back up his shit and leave when he found that damn, coyote head that he knew got removed, the night before. So somebody's definitely here. Even though I think it was even after that, he's like, dude, I think somebody's living here. I know he says that, but I can't remember exactly what point he does.
Yeah.
Is it before or after he finds the freaking, the coyote head? But the only other con I have about it is, I know it was, you know, the guy was the main character and like almost the only character in this movie. But, you know, with the exception of, you know, Tom Matthews, who played Tommy Jarvis, which was a freaking amazing, you know, cameo and guest appearance and surprise ending. The EMTs, the only the two people that are in this, and it didn't look like, you know, acting was their number one, you know, job on this. I wouldn't doubt if you saw their names and you saw it show up in a different, you know, as a different task, you know, in the movie, making of the movie. Because, I mean, the guy, you know, is thumbing through the Playboy. I mean, he didn't look like he was supposed to be taken very serious. But it seemed like, you know, both of them were reaching a little bit, you know, to bring, you know, make like a believable character. You know, even when the girl was supposed to be taken real serious, it seemed like she was having a little difficulty, you know, making her character believable. So that's why I'm going to give this movie a 9.5 machetes out of 10. So it would have been a 9, but, you know, Turtle over here freaking saved the day by, you know, just pointing out just white people just never learn.
They don't.
So.
And titties. Titties helps.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was some, you know, there was enough to say they were there, you know, so it keeps the cliche alive. But, you know, that's why I have no problem, you know, by looking at me, you know, thinking I'm a total white man, I have no problem criticizing that because, as I've said before, you know, I am what you call a quarter black. If we were doing a live podcast, I'd show you a picture of my grandfather who had a hell of a complexion to him, and then when he had his 4 daughters, you know, my mother and three aunts, none of them really carried it over in appearance, but it's still there. So figure when it comes down to me, I probably got about a quarter of it. So I'm what you call a quarter black.
He's a quarter, which means in these situations, he's not going to be the one. Oh, what's going on over here?
Yeah, I'm not the one who's going to freaking go do some dumb shit like this, and then certainly hang out when it looks like it's got a whole lot worse.
He's going to be running with his black brothers. Like, fuck this.
Exactly. That's why there was no black people in this movie. You know, they knew better.
Yeah, fucking never hike alone. I ain't hiking.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
but again, all joking aside, this movie was fucking excellent, and I'm gonna ask you. I really wouldn't change anything about this movie.
No, I think, like I said, you know, you gotta, I mean, like I said, everything that was so great about this movie, you know, the stunts, the music, the scenery, oh my gosh, the scenery was great.
Beautiful.
The production, the direction, the acting from the main, and almost sole, character in this film was also good. I mean, it's why it's almost excusable, that there's just 2 brief appearances by characters that just didn't have, the great acting chops. You totally look past that. You're not gonna harp on that and, make it, totally discredit towards the movie. Everything about it was so good. You almost look past that. Because like I said, it's not to the very end anyways. So you had so much great things about this film. And can I throw in a fun fact here?
Yes.
Do you know this? Do you know who the director of the movie is?
I do not. I didn't even look that up.
Jason. The guy who played Jason is the director of the film. And I remember that from the first time I saw it, and then when I saw the credits roll again, I had to rewind it real quick to make sure I really saw that.
That's awesome.
And sure enough, because I remember the director, I was like, is the director the main character? Like the guy, the hiker? But I'm like, nah, that doesn't sound right. But I could have swore, the director had, a big part in this movie besides... Maybe it was one of the EMTs. Maybe, he was just one of the guys that showed up at the end. No, it was freaking the guy who played Jason was the director of the film.
That's fucking awesome.
I mean, and like I said, fact. with the part 4, Friday the 13th part 4, and this movie is probably, in my opinion, is Jason at his at his scariest. Not from the look, but just from the act and the way, the cat and mouse game he plays. With the survivors, with Corey Feldman's sister mainly, and him at a time in part 4 towards the end, when it's just those 2 left. Some of the scenes where, it's just a standoff and what next, and then, he, just charges out. It's like so, the way they did it, it's like in the dark, so you can barely see him. So freaking, well done, and, just freaked you out a little bit. And I felt that the same thing with this movie. The stalking and, the attacks that the guy, is able to get away from, but then he just reappears and comes at him again. And just the anticipation of what's going to happen next. You know, I really thought this was, you know, Jason at his, you know, scary, you know, at his scary finest.
I want to give a big shout out to the actors. Big shout out to the actors in this movie. I'm looking your names up on IMDb, so excuse me if I pronounce your names wrong, first or last name. But main character Kyle McClendon. I'm a little buzzed right now. I can't read. Main character Kyle, Drew Lightly, great job. Jason Voorhees was played by Vincent DeSante, great job. Producer, actor, writer. Let me just look at Drew. Let me see what his thing was. Actor, actor and miscellaneous crew. And then Katie Ann Schwartz. She was an actress, a writer, and a producer. Again, great job. Actor Robert Dubose, great job. And Tom Matthews, great job. I just have to name you guys off. And then here's the last one that they showed. Sean Richards, he played Jason's shadow. Actor, camera department, producer. Again, great job. I just tilt my hat to you guys for what you did with this movie. And Friday the 13th is mine, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is Rob's favorite slasher. Or
I think you know it's I think it's like, you know, a real close second. You know, I've really just gotten into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know, films again. You know,
which are great.
Which the first two are phenomenal. The first remake was good, was solid. The prequel to that, not so much. The prequel, like the last prequel that dropped, I loved it at first.
See, I only watched it one time. I loved it.
I watched it immediately again, like this next night, because I got like a 3-day rental after dropping like $11, you know, on DirecTV when I still had them. It's like one of the only movies that ever came on demand, like upon its theater release. And I don't know, like I know they had to, you know, keep. There's some things, you know, when I kind of read other people's opinion, you know, thoughts on it, and some things I kind of didn't think of or kind of forgot about, like the original film into that one. It's maybe like a little less. I mean, it was still worth watching. It's just like there's a lot of annoying characters, I thought, even though most of them got justice, some didn't, you know. And I just didn't like, you know, how everybody in the family was a psycho killer, even though, you know, Drayton Sawyer from the first two original films made it real clear, you know, he's just the cook. You know, I don't get no pleasure in killing, he says. You know, that's up to, you know, and that's another thing that, like, people to this day will still debate, you know, is, you know, Nubbins and Chop Top and Leatherface, you know, his sons or his brothers. They made it clear, you know, in the prequel that they're brothers, and even Bill Moseley, who played, you know, the freaking most underrated character of all time, Chop Top from Part 2, would, you know, also goes on record saying that, you know, him and, you know, the rest of them all play, you know, Drayton's brothers. But, you know, it's, as I just watching those movies, it's still totally debatable, you know, is, you know, that he's the father to them or the older brother. But anyways, you know, that's, you know, like I said, Friday the 13th definitely was there. But then when I really, you know, got dug back into Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, I think that just, you know, just took over us a hair. But I mean, I got nothing but absolute love for Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
I love, you know, Jason Voorhees' character. I didn't like the original, you know.
But okay, so I understand.
It was a total letdown, you know, that Jason's not the killer.
Who's your favorite slasher? Not movie. Mine's Jason.
You want to give total franchise?
Like not as far as like not movies. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't have a favorite. Yes, we're gonna be doing some random horror chat on this. That's what we do. I don't have a favorite horror movie, so to speak, because it's like it's hard to choose a favorite horror movie.
Right.
Because like with horror, you know what? We're gonna take a break because I gotta go pee pee. I'll be right back.
Rock it out.
Well, we're back from that pee pee break, ladies and gentlemen. And back into this Slice and Dice with Search 30 segment of the movie. I said I really loved the movie, and I did. And big shout out to all the actors and actresses. I did name all of them. and I just hope to see more from them. Like, I really would love to see a sequel to this. And like I said before, I have nothing that I would really change about this movie at all. I think this movie was I gave it a 10, so it's done damn near perfect to me. And like what we were getting at earlier with the sequel, like how, you know, the ambulance leaves, Jason's kind of following the ambulance. It'd be cool to see like like if the second movie started from that, and you kind of see what happens from there. Maybe he doesn't follow it, like he just kind of walks away towards the edge of Camp Crystal Lake, let's say.
Right, and then almost like, you know, waiting, you know, for the next victim, you know, who comes next, and then, you know, shortly after that, you know, we get to see, I would say, person or persons to, you know, cross paths.
Let's say the story gets out that this man got attacked at Camp Crystal Lake, that the 2 paramedics died, and people are just like, holy shit, young people, I want to check this out. This is cool. You know what I mean? Like, they want to go check it out. They go check it out, and they get killed, let's say. And let's say, you know how they always have that crazy old guy that's like, you know, don't fucking go there, pretty much?
Right.
The guy from this movie, let's not say he's old. You know, I mean, they can age him up some, but let's say it's like 5-10 years later or whatever. A few years later, let's say a few years later at the very least. Because, again, it doesn't have to be on Friday the 13th because it wasn't called Friday the 13th.
Right.
So let's say it's a couple years later or whatever, a couple summers, and the guy, let's say there's something about this camp that's going on. Like, say they start opening the camp up again or whatever, and people start going there, and he knows people that want to go there, like younger people, and he's like warning them, like, you shouldn't go there, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he ends up, just to put him back in the movie, and shit, let's say he's in the movie more because he's going there trying to get them to leave, like trying to save them and shit, and, you know, that could be a fun way to do it. I don't know what your ideas would be, but just... Yeah. Like the way, like I said, one thing I would love is the way it ended. If it starts from like right there, like, you know, a lot of the Friday the 13th films, they at least give you a flashback of what happened in the last movie,
right?
And then they go into the movie. Which real quick, I wish more movies, so let's say horror movies, would do that still when they're making sequels. Like, start from here. This is where this movie ended, and if it's a sequel to this movie, like a direct sequel, not like a prequel type shit, like a direct sequel, let's start from here. And if it's a prequel, let's end the prequel where the first one starts, or around where the first one starts. But that's just my idea, you know. I just throw them out there. I'm not a professional. But what do you think?
No, I totally dig the idea. Like I say, you know, I think it would be, you know, absolutely perfect, you know, just to see, you know, at the very least, you know, to see Jason, you know, just walking, you know, like he was, as he, you know, whether we see the ambulance or not, you know. Mm-hmm. Just imply, you know, that's the walk that he's starting on. That's the walk he's taking, you know, mm-hmm. is from how the last film ended, and just kind of just stand there, you know, right at the, you know, right behind the no trespassing sign. Just, you know, just have the camera focus on him for a moment, just like, you know, just like he's anticipating, you know, the next person or persons, you know, and come across, you know, step across the line, you know, come to the old camp.
Yep.
And, you know, and then where it goes from there, I mean, you know, like I said, with how well this film was done, and, you know, and then, like I said, and, you know, the demand that, you know, from fans have wanted, you know, that's how, you know, it really got, you know, it's, you know, it's limited, you know, film, you know, DVD, Blu-ray release, you know, it got a huge following. You know, people love this, you know, more, no doubt, people want to see more of it. So wherever you got your funding from before to make this film, if you do that well, I'm pretty sure you probably get more funding.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which you could, you know, like I said, you could use to, you know, hire more actors, have more victims, you know, I said, more blood, you know, mm-hmm. more gore, you know. And like I said, it's with a totally original idea, you know, to a sense. Well, it seemed like all the other ones, you know, towards the end, just kind of, when we had original ideas, they just didn't work, you know, like Jason, you know, on a cruise ship, then, you know, which goes to, you know, freaking Manhattan.
In space.
Man. And then, you know, then he's a body jumper.
Which, let's just jump on the horror space real quick. I'm just going to throw this question out there because I just think it's a fun little topic. Let's just say, you know, horror movies that are already out. Who would you like to see in space? I'm going to say Freddy Krueger.
That's like the only one who really hasn't been there.
Michael hasn't been there yet.
Michael hasn't been there. Chucky hasn't been there.
But I mean, I feel like out of all of, you know, the ones that I'm thinking of, I believe Leprechaun's been there, right?
Yep. Part
Leprechaun
4.
in Space.
Yep.
I didn't see it. I want to see it. And I want to actually, talking about the Leprechaun, I want to do the Leprechaun in the Hood movies on the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Because I watched one about a year ago, and it was just the shit they were saying had me dying. So I was like, you know what? Now that I have this podcast going, I have to do that. But jumping back into it, I feel like Freddy could work. Only because with the whole dream sequence thing, he could be literally anywhere.
Right.
So
but I mean, do we really want to see, another Freddy with no Robert Englund? Regardless of what the storyline is.
Okay.
That's why why I wasn't quick to say that.
Dream sequence. You like I throw that in there.
Yep.
Dream sequence for this movie. Robert Englund's playing Freddy, of course. And let's say fucking people from NASA. I got it. You know how they want to send people to Mars and shit?
Right.
You've heard about this a few years ago. They want to send people to Mars to, like, live. Let's say they go up there, they do that. And they have dreams about Freddy. Let's say they're sending 8 people to ever. That these 8 people are the only people that keep dreaming about Freddy. And their goal is to, when they bring him out of the dream and leave him on Mars, pretty much.
Right. Yeah.
Which would be fucking... It would be a cheesy, shitty movie, but it would be fun at the same time.
Yeah, like I said, it's, with some of, the lack of originality coming out in horror movies today, I mean, like I said, if it's, like I said, a little cheesy and a little, a little cliche, but at least it has a little bit of originality to it, it could still work, you know?
Yep. I just had to throw that out there. So I threw out Freddy, so if you have... Who would you be? I mean, you could use Freddy or another. The fact that they keep the original actor keeps the character alive and he can just work anywhere. I think Chucky going to space would that
would work. That
would actually him somehow being, maybe they're sending him on this to space because he's so evil,
right,
or whatever. But there's people on there that have to guide the ship. And I just thought of another. Oh, fuck, who was it? I had one in mind and forgot it that fast. Oh shit, that would be fun too. Chucky in space.
Yep, I think so. I don't think any way you slice it, I don't think Leatherface could ever work in space.
I got it, Pinhead. And I'll say that because with the box.
Yeah.
Let's say
he never went into space.
No.
He went on. There was an online, they
so.
advertised, but I don't think. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think a space whenever happened.
I gotta rewatch the movies. My wife loves the movies, especially like the first couple. I'm not a huge fan of the series.
Yeah, those are ones that they were kind of hit or miss for me. I didn't.
The first one was good.
Love them.
But anyway, let's say the whole box, the paradox box. Is that what it's called?
Something like that.
They open it in space. They open it, you know what I mean? They go to space, whatever. The box, they have the box on the ship for whatever reason. They open it in space, and boom,
right,
he's there.
I mean, you could almost find any reason, write it in for any legit, semi-believable reason that somebody going into space, is carrying the box, or somehow, just winds up there and somebody finds it and opens it, and
it would work. Or fucking, well, I mean, it wouldn't work where it's an excellent movie, but it would work. It would be watchable.
Right. I mean, and especially now, you don't make movies, like...
It can't be any worse than Judgment Day.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you don't make these movies to, freaking make, incredible, sequels, original ideas. I mean, we're kind of past that stage, so it's not going to be great, it's not going to be phenomenal, but it might be watchable, and it might be, it might even be decent, Doesn't have to be amazing, but it could, it could still be a decent film, if done right.
Did you see Terrifier yet?
No, I keep freaking looking for it in Redbox, and it doesn't show up. But I did finally found, one that said, it's out of stock. At least it's listed, so.
Yeah, you're gonna love it. I'm
gonna
tell you
that's
right
what
now,
I hear.
I'm not gonna spoil anything for you because you haven't seen it yet, and I'm recording with you. But I will say this: there are some excellent kills in that movie. I told Henry the same thing. There's going to be a kill in the movie where you might be on the fence about. I don't want to say what it is, but I feel like when you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And me personally, I loved it. And I'll tell you why. After you see the movie, and this is to you too, Henry, when you ever listen to this episode, after you see the movie, I will tell you guys why I really enjoyed it. I might have said it in another podcast, I don't remember, with Matt, but that's besides the point. But I'm saying, talking to you face to face right now. And like, it doesn't. Well, I already know how you are. You're not gonna watch a fucking good story. There's not really a story to this movie, but there will be sequel. There's gonna be a sequel. I will say that. Spoiler alert. But I mean, if you follow Joel's House of Horror, the guy who played Art the Clown's in that group, David Howard Thornton. Shout out to him. And he said that they're talking about sequels and all that.
Right,
and like,
it comes from another movie called All Hallows Eve,
yeah.
which I have seen that one.
And what throwing back to that real quick, I did see that recently. I actually seen that after I seen Terrifier. But the cool thing about that, and the people who played Art were two different actors. But the cool thing about that is, like, it was an anthology movie, with the different stories and all that. Art was kind of in them.
Yeah.
But I like how they took that character out, and put him in his own movie. Like, I thought that was freaking amazing.
Right.
That's how big of an impact that character was. Even though it's played by a different actor, but that's how big of an impact that character was. Excuse me. And I will say, like I said, you're going to enjoy the movie. Don't watch it for the story. I guess the
Rarely do I
sequels,
ever.
I guess the sequel is going to have more of a story to it, to a sense, but they're not going to talk about his origin too much. So they want to leave that a mystery.
Right.
Just from I heard from other podcasts and stuff. But yeah, definitely. I highly recommend that movie. That's actually, I got to do a podcast on that movie. But that's actually my movie of as far as movies that came out this year, that I've seen for the first time this year / type of deal. That's my movie of the year right now, Terrifier, by far. And it's like, it was done so well. Like, I said it before of talking to somebody, before I even did a podcast about it. I might even said it on a podcast. I gave that movie a 9.5. And the only reason why it wasn't a 10 because there was no story.
Right.
But everything about the movie I enjoyed. So, what was I gonna say? Do you have any? I'll ask you. This is kind of like a double question. If you've watched any horror movies recently, let's say, not even that. Let's say, matter of fact, scratch that. Any horror movie you've watched in a lifetime. 2 recommendations to throw out for our listeners that you have that you feel like are like, you should go see these movies. You know what I mean?
Yep. Okay. Let me look this one up because I want to make sure I get it right. This was like one of those films that's like back when I had like DirecTV. They had like all the stinking, all the like all the movie channels. Like a promotion deal.
Mm-hmm.
There was one that only showed once. I don't know why. It was like a found footage film, and it was like these 2 people going in search of Bigfoot, and like I had no idea what it was about it. That just like I said, I just saw the movie title and just clicked the info, and I almost skipped past it, but I'm like, nah.
Check it out.
I'll check it out. And I record it, and it was one of the freakiest endings I've ever seen in a movie. It's called Willow Creek.
Willow Creek?
Yep. And
okay.
I'm debating if I should say this because some people might, like, oh, no way. Is that going to be good? But it really is. It was directed by Bobcat Goldthwait, who was a comedian. He was really big back in the 80s. If you ever hear his voice, you know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
His comedy is definitely of its time, but it still holds up.
Yeah.
But he was really funny, in a lot of the movies he did, and then he started, like directing, and even started making like some serious to like dark comedy style movies. But this was like like a found footage horror movie. I couldn't believe when I saw that he's the one who directed it. How well it was made, and it's like it was some things there's definitely some things that was kind of there, like kind of make your own assumption, make your own idea, story. But I just thought the story, the build up was really good. Some intense scenes, and I thought it was a real good good scary ending. But that's one I definitely would
go check out.
I would highly recommend. Cause I'm trying to think of movies like that. A lot of people haven't seen. Because I mean, like you can list like like the classics, but I mean anybody who really likes horror, should have at least seen it once or, gave it an attempt. There's people, younger generation trying to watch some of the old classics. some of them are gonna, totally get it and appreciate it and like that style. Others are gonna be, depending on if they've watched a lot of newer movies today, and that's kind of what their thing is, and they try to sit down and watch, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th. I mean, anybody who wasn't born wasn't old enough to watch movies in 1980, is gonna be pretty disappointed the first time they watch Friday the 13th. Because it was it was like the Saw movies. There was a sequel every damn year. So Jason was if you couldn't watch, you were able to watch a movie in 1980, but you could watch one in 1986. Jason was alive and well and probably highly talked about,
Mm-hmm.
And then you go and just start from the beginning, watch the first one. You're like, where the hell is he? What the hell you mean his mother's a killer?
Yep.
Okay. I finally got through it. Now I'm gonna watch the sequel. Got to see the hockey mask. Who the hell's that guy wearing the gunny sack? Was there like somebody who was assisting him and he dies and then we get to see Jason? Like, nope. So you gotta wait till freaking part 3 to really see the true classic that people like our age and even a little bit older and even younger. Really heard about till they finally can sit down and watch it. It's like it's not until part 3 you really see the classic, character and, appearance of him.
My movie, I'm going to tell you my first one, and I know it's been popular on Facebook a couple of years ago and made more kind of so now. I'm going to say if you haven't seen this movie yet, go see Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
That was an excellent anthology. And my second one, I gotta think. I always throw Terrifier out there, so I'm not gonna do that this time, even though you should go see that.
All right, I'm gonna look up my second one. I know it's on. This one's actually on Netflix, so it's be real easy to find.
Okay.
So go ahead and share your second.
Let me think of a second one. Let me see. What have I seen recently that was actually a good horror movie? Give me 1 second to kind of look this up real quick. I think I have an idea.
Yeah, those are the best ones,
You know what?
Best ones you gotta look for.
Go see Never Hike Alone. We just did a podcast on that.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, go watch Never Hike Alone.
Probably not seen, a lot of people have seen it, but yeah, a lot of people still haven't seen it.
And I will say, if you guys say that's cheating, go see Sinister 1 and 2. So I gave you guys 3 movies, and I usually give you 2. I know it's a bigger name movie, but still, I know there's a lot of people who haven't seen that. Go see that series. Go watch Never Hike Alone. And, yeah, you'll enjoy it. And Rob's looking up his movie still.
Yep. It's not going to be my pick, but, I highly recommend,
yeah,
the first 2 movies of VHS, if you haven't seen
those. Oh,
those.
yeah. Those are good.
First one was...
Those are fun.
Yeah, first one I thought, I still can't quite figure out how the all, the main story ties in. Second one I have a little bit better idea. Third one I thought was pretty shitty.
I gotta actually go back and rewatch that.
But I've seen the second one, definitely my favorite. I've watched that one multiple times. Okay, I think I got it.
Okay.
All right. Okay, which one is it here? I think it's... Yeah, okay, so it's definitely the movie called Tales of Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
It's made in 2005. It's 10 short stories, some better than others, but it's really freaking good. That was, a very, very, very fun movie. Almost disappointing, when the end credits roll, because you almost want to see more. Because it's, when it's like 10 stories, rolled into like 15 minutes short of a 2-hour film, it's hard to keep count. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. It's hard to keep count, of where where you're at, so you don't know like which one ends, if that's gonna be the last one, and then a closeout, of the movie. But yeah. That one I really enjoyed. But a couple side notes. Another Netflix movie that a lot of people are watching, but some may not have seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of like an under the radar film, was called Hush.
That was really good.
That was really good. I mean, the like when I read the write up on it, I'm like, okay, they're gonna have to do a real good job to make this movie good, because it's like a home invasion of a woman who lives out in the woods by herself, who's completely blind, I think.
She's deaf. No, she was deaf.
Oh, she's deaf. That's right. Yeah, she's deaf because she can't hear.
Hence the name Hush.
Yeah.
That.
Well, I was thinking, is she deaf? But I'm thinking to myself, like, well, how the hell she can still see the guy? So what the hell difference? How the hell's that, gonna make any sense? But she can't hear him, like, when he's like creeping up. He's like standing there when and she's got it back to him, and he's like, opening the door and everything. Mm-hmm. She can't hear. So yeah, okay. So,
it was good. It was good.
That was. I mean, like I said, it's like you knew they'd have to do a good job to make this a good movie. With somebody who's got that much of a disability and is going to, put up, a legit, fight against, home invasion of some guy, who's, not only trying to break in, but, is also psycho killer when he wants to be. But yeah, but it was really well done.
So yes,
so that's another fun film to, check out if you haven't already.
So any final thoughts on Never Hike Alone before we cut this to a close, or?
I was just, just that if you haven't seen it, it's totally worth your watch. It's not a very long movie, so you don't need a ton of time to sit down and watch it. And I highly doubt, you're going to be disappointed watching it. I mean, especially if you're a fan of horror and a fan of the Friday the 13th franchise. Those are, key
elements.
Those are key elements to, really want to watch this movie, and why people like that probably will really enjoy this movie, because like I said, it's both me and Aaron here, both big fans of when it comes to the slasher movies, you want to see it realistic, you want to see a ton of blood, body count, stuff like that. But
titties.
But yeah, this movie had all those things, just not a ton of any of them. But I just thought the cat and mouse game.
It just worked.
It just worked perfectly, It was like total, and maybe because we have 13,
12.
How many? 12.
12 of the original films, and then
we have Jason X, and we got Freddy vs. Jason, and we got remake. So you got 12 films in. And like I said, Jason goes to space. Jason can, jump from body to body. Mm-hmm. Jason, battles another legendary character. So you can tell ideas were running low. So, there was plenty of room, to make, to make, a good, solid film, and idea story. And like I said, it didn't come with a ton of sex, blood and guts, but it worked perfectly, like I said. And then I said the Easter egg at the end, with Tom Matthews coming back as Tommy Jarvis, that what just a freaking, excellent, ending, like a surprise, so it wasn't like the way it ended, like he just pops up, the movie ends. It's like, he gets, a good, 5-10 minutes of, camera time. But like I say, it was just an excellent, surprise, and it just worked perfectly all around this whole film. And like I said, the fact that it wasn't called Friday the 13th. I mean, obviously that's what the theme is, but for whatever reason they chose not to do that, was for legal reasons or to try to just come up with something a little different. And like I said, and the main character isn't even in this movie doing what he's doing to even go there. He just stumbles upon it and just, doing what, a curious white boy would do, to start looking around and, have a look at things, and finds out it would have been best, if he just turned around right at the sign and, made a much longer, hike out of, this expedition he's on.
And I will say this before we end it. White people, stop being so goddamn nosy. Stop trying to investigate everything. If you see a severed head of a human or an animal, just... especially, the night before you're hearing a bunch of screams or howls or cries.
Right.
That means leave. That doesn't mean keep staying there and investigating and, thinking this. No, that means leave.
Yeah, so if it's an animal, it looks like it's been there for weeks and it could have been there by another animal, that's one thing. But when it's stuffed up in an area that only a person could have done, and that thing is fresh, and you heard that thing die the night before, get out.
Especially a group of coyotes. It's not like it was just one.
Right, Like if it was like one dog, one howling coyote, and then something gets it.
That's different.
One thing.
But a group.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't see that he killed the whole group, but I couldn't go into a group of coyotes with just a machete and come out surviving. I'd be dead.
No, absolutely not.
I wouldn't even try.
You might not even get. You might not even best one of those things.
No, I'm not.
Especially if freaking pitch black at night out in the middle of the woods.
I'll tell you what's gonna happen to me. Not only am I gonna die, but I'm gonna probably piss and shit on myself and cry, and try to run. So yeah, just leave, people. And on that note, we will end it right here. But I will say again, if you haven't seen this movie, Never Hike Alone, go see it. If you're still listening to this episode and you haven't seen it, that is. And if you have seen it, go revisit the movie. It was an excellent movie. Again, support horror, support other podcasts, support fan-made films, and just, keep supporting this podcast. Yeah, again, you can find me, Horror with Sir Sturdy, on Podbean. I'm on iTunes. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Stitcher. I'm everywhere. So just check it out. Go check out Joe's House of Horror Facebook group. Check out my Horror with Sir Sturdy Facebook groups. Check out the Three Guys at Horror podcast. Check out I'm on Twitter now finally. It's HW_Sir_Sturdy. I'm on Instagram, and I just post all horror stuff on Instagram and Twitter. But my Instagram is horror_with_Sir_Sturdy. Check me out on there. Like I said, it's all about just horror stuff. So, have a great time with this horror thing and just keep supporting horror. Let's make horror great. Just make horror great. Let's make horror the best genre that it is. Let's let everybody else know that. And on that note, I'm going to say fuck you, Corey Feldman. Because Henry, I always got your back. You're my brother. And I'll see you in your nightmares.